Well, good evening, wherever you're watching this video. This is our Health Coach Huddle that we do on a weekly basis. This is, it's actually April 12th, 2000, if you're in March, April. Yeah, April 12th, 2016. My name's Craig Blanchette. I'm a global director and a team leader for Take Shape for Life. And tonight's health coach training is actually going to be talking about it's an art of asking questions. I don't call this. I've learned that this way of asking questions has actually been coined by one of my mentors. His name's Greg Koukl, and Greg Koukl has a radio show and a podcast called Stand to Reason, or str.org. And he has this tactics approach to asking questions. And so he came up with the concept called the Columbo tactic. And so I'm going to go through just a little bit of what the Columbo tactic is and some usages of the Columbo, and then we'll talk about how we could actually integrate that, not just into our health coach practice, but into other areas of our life as well. So let me pull that up here, and then we'll go from there. Let's see here. All right, so Columbo. Columbo is a tactic for tough situations. There's three primary applications for the Columbo tactic. And the first one, the first application is to gain information. The second application is to reverse the burden of proof. So when somebody makes a claim, you basically make them defend their claim. And the third application is to indirectly exploit a weakness or a flaw. And so that's more of a tactical term, maybe a little bit more aggressive, but we'll see how those will work themselves out actually through a little bit of conversation. The primary one that we want to do is to gain information and help people tell us why they believe the thing that they believe. And so, again, first application is to gain information. Sometimes you just need a little more information to know how to proceed further. So this would be in a situation where maybe one of your clients would say, well, I don't eat processed foods, or I only eat organic, right? Or artificial sweeteners are bad for you, or something like that. And so you maybe need to get some more information before you know how to proceed further. I don't know what they mean by that. The simplest way to use Columbo tactic, it's virtually effortless. And the reason why you do it is it puts no pressure on you at all. So you don't have to be the master coach that knows how to answer every one of their questions. You just can ask the question, use the first application of Columbo. So it's when it's used in this fashion, it can be a casual conversation starter. It can buy you some valuable time to basically figure out maybe how you're going to defend, or maybe you don't, when they've asked you a question that you don't have the answer to, you can ask them a question and help you know how to proceed in the conversation and give you information for this and future encounters. And so the first question of Columbo is, what do you mean by that? Or some variation of that. This clarification question tells you what a person thinks, so you don't misunderstand her, or worse, misrepresent her. This question should be delivered in a mild, genuinely inquisitive fashion. And so we're just going to talk through that one just for a little bit now, and some examples of what that might look like if you were in a situation where someone says, well, I don't want to stop. I need to lose weight, but I don't want to stop exercising. Because exercise, maybe here's another one. Exercise is the only real way to lose weight. Right? So even though that's not true, and they probably do too, you can use the first Columbo question and say, so what do you mean by it's the best way? And so that's the first one. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by you don't eat processed foods? What do you mean by you don't eat food that comes in a package or packaged food, right? I don't know. Can you think of just a few of us here today? So you guys, I'm just going to unmute everybody, but
Can you put that into your headphones first?
can you guys think of another way where you could use, if you need to remute yourselves, you're fine, but can you think of another way of where you would want to ask, what do you mean by that? I muted you, Debbie. So when you're in a situation where you're in a conversation with somebody and they say something that is maybe not true, or is obviously not getting at what they want, but you don't want to put them on the defense. What do you think? You have any examples, Kim, of how you could, of a question that you maybe want to use that? What do you mean by that?
Oh, the use of what do you mean by that, or a different one in that place?
Well, like, what would be a scenario where you could say, what do you mean by that when it comes to coaching?
Yeah, I think, the processed food one is a great one. Sometimes with GMOs that's come up too, that I could never do that. I could never have that because of GMOs. And that's honestly, I know I learned that technique here with Take Shape for Life, but I use this technique in every area of my life, not just in coaching, because basically if I have an emotional reaction to something somebody says, like it makes me angry or I get my guard up, that is the quickest way to take that emotion out of the equation. What do you mean by that? Because one, it lets me say, okay, I'm not going to just snap back. Gives me a little time to be like, okay. And two, sometimes the way that it offends me or raises that emotion is completely different than what they were intending in the first place. Mm-hmm. And it takes me on a completely different path. Mm-hmm. So
what about like a question, for example, about price? Well, I can't afford that food. That program is so expensive. There's a great one. And I hear that. And so you have can you see how that might be used in a situation, where someone says, oh, that program is so expensive?
Well, I do. I follow through with what you guys say. I mean, I haven't gotten to that point very often because I haven't gone that far, unfortunately. But I would use that where you say, well, how much do you spend on food for a month? Mm-hmm. And
so in this situation, you could say, so what do you mean by it's too expensive? Tell me a little bit more about that. And you're really trying to not make them defensive. You're trying to gain clarity on how they came to the conclusion that they came to, that this was too expensive.
Right.
One of those things, and so that actually might be, what do you mean by too expensive? Well, when I buy this and I buy that, it does this. Okay, so how did you come to the conclusion that our program was so expensive? Because, I mean, I just recently talked to 3 or 4 people today. I talked to 2 people that talked about other programs that they've done and how they were thousands of dollars, not hundreds of dollars. And they were getting a shake. They weren't even getting like a full month's worth of food. They were getting like 1 shake a day. And so when you say, what do you mean by that's too expensive? And how did you come to that conclusion? Or how much do you think you spend in a month? Those are questions of that first level. What do you mean by that? And how did you get to that conclusion? So I can see it on processed foods. I can see using it for financial stuff. Or how about in coaching? What would be a question someone would say in coaching where you could say, what do you mean by that?
I have an example of exactly that. Somebody had asked me, well, isn't that just a pyramid scheme? And I had to, that is exactly the very first question I asked is, well, what do you mean by that? Because honestly, I don't really know a whole lot about pyramid schemes, and I don't understand, like, personally, most, and I've said this, most businesses are structured with one person at the top and more people underneath them, which looks like a pyramid to me. So, so what do you mean by pyramid scheme? I don't know.
Yeah, and how did you come to that conclusion that this was or they say, is this a pyramid scheme? What do you mean by pyramid scheme? And most of the time they're going to say, well, I don't know. Is it a pyramid scheme? And they just repeat themselves again. And here is the actual technical definition. Have you ever seen the movie The Fighter? Who's seen the movie The Fighter?
Oh my God, I just turned myself.
Nobody. Okay, so it was a movie about a boxing thing, and you had Christian Bale, and he was like this pretty unhealthy guy that had doing drugs, and Mark Wahlberg was his brother.
I did see that movie. Yes.
Okay, and so Christian Bale goes to this house, and he's trying to raise money for his brother to get to this big fight. And he says, okay, he talks to 5 guys, and he says, okay, so each of you, I got this great business opportunity for you. Each one of you needs to gives me $1,000, right? So I have $5,000. Could each of you just gave me $1,000, and then each one of you guys, go out and find 5 people to do the same for you, and you're going to turn that 1,000 into 5,000. That's a pyramid scheme. It doesn't make any sense, right? There's no goods or services being transferred. I'm not purchasing a service or a good. That's why it's a pyramid scheme. And so this is clearly not a pyramid scheme. And then the other neat thing about Take Shape for Life is why it's not like traditional multi-level marketing companies is most traditional multi-level marketing companies are trying to build distributors and not customers. Take Shape for Life ratio of clients to coaches, it's over 95% clients and 5% coaches. So most of the people that do business with Take Shape for Life are clients. So we're not a heavy recruiting model where we get huge bonus. We don't get any bonus for having a coach join us. I mean, they buy their $200 coaches kit, and how much do you make? Nothing.
I found that interesting because I think I saw some of the statistics from the last challenge on how many coaches actually signed up. And I was really surprised considering it was like thousands of people that were a part of this challenge. And I think it was under 200 actually signed up for coaching. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, I mean, it just seems like there's coaches everywhere. Right. But it's not. I do have a question of how to respond. Is I've had where I was really close with a few people and they have tried. I'm learning so much, and especially with that clip that you posted today with Becca on how I'm probably completely handling these things wrong.
We all do.
How I'm talking to people. And one of them is putting my foot in my mouth about the whole weight loss component. It's a lifestyle with a weight loss component. And they've tried Manifest. They've tried, not necessarily, I don't know if they've tried Take Shape for Life, but they have tried Manifest before. And I've gotten, one person didn't like it and the other person said it made them sick. Mm-hmm. So, and is that kind of the same kind of thing where it's like, well, what experience did you have with it? I mean, do I even try and go there with these people, or
what I always get back to what is it that they want? Because we can talk about our problems and our obstacles all day long, and get distracted from the dream, the thing that we want.
Okay.
Right. And so I know. It's almost like you get distracted by how hard it is to climb up the mountain. And so you just start talking about the blisters on your feet and how the trail's not even and all that. And so you just go back to, wait a minute, do you remember the sunset? Do you remember that view from the top that you said you just couldn't live without? It's still up there. Do you want that?
Okay.
There's going to be blisters. Maybe we'll slow down a little bit. But if you don't want to see the view, you don't have to walk the trail. But people people say, well, I'm not going to walk the trail. And they take that dream and they sort of stuff it in a box. It's still there though.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to go dust off that box and open it up and say, hey, look in there. Still want that? That's so important to you? Okay, so what does it matter what this tastes like? What does it matter how soft the seats are on the drive to Disneyland? Who cares?
All right.
It's Disneyland. Now, maybe you would rather not want to sit in a seat long enough to get to Disneyland. So the price of the journey is greater than the value of the destination.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's it. And so maybe
that's where I kind of try and say, you know, that's such as the weight loss part of it is such a small part. You know, what I love about this program and after last week's meeting and hearing everybody going into a senior coach and everything, and I was really bummed out. I just really I reevaluated my why of why I wanted to do this. Mm-hmm. And really said, okay, you've got to start putting some serious time into this. This is what you still want to do this, right? Can you do this? Or are you going to just give up? You know, and this is something I've done multiple times in my life is I've just given up. And just not yet at least. No.
It's funny, Debbie, because I just had a similar conversation with Jim this afternoon.
Oh.
He was just like, I just need to put time into this, and I just don't want to let this go. Right,
and it's hard not to take things personally. Mm-hmm. It's, you know, I liked about what Becca said, you've got to get to the point where you're bulletproof. Mm-hmm. And you can't take things personally. And I have probably not utilized my business coach, and I'm going out there thinking I don't know what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But I know that the way I'm handling certain things, there's been opportunities where I should have really jumped on it, and I only gave a tidbit.
Yeah, you know, that's okay.
I didn't get the call. I didn't get the, you know, and I figured it's a learning process. I'm gonna become. Yeah. You know.
Well, Jim and I were just talking about that same thing. Do you have any comments to share based upon what Debbie just shared? Because I know that what you say will edify her, because I know what she just said was like, that's exactly where I'm at, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me is understanding that it's about the person I'm talking to, not about my desires. And it's whenever I take it personal, it's more about me than them. And so I've tried to keep the focus on them. Mm-hmm. And by asking them questions, they're going to tell me the information that they need in order for us to help them. And so just keep asking questions until you get to the point where, okay, you have enough information that we can help them.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can lay out a plan and they get to choose. But in both of your cases, they can complain about the food. They can complain about the cost. They can complain about, I have to eat so many times. I have to drink all that water and all that kind of stuff. And you say, so remind me again, because they get focused on the steps on the journey. And then you're like, well, aren't you here? And tell me about over there where you wanted to be. Tell me about that again. Now, what was that about? And you have to really get them to focus on the value of the process, right? Not the pain of the process, the value of what they get. And we just kept going back. I had a call with Linda today and a new coach, Angel, and she was just asking all these questions about these people and I said, you have to take them back, not to the problems, not to how hard it will be, but you have to get them back, even though it's hard. So let's say you don't do this. What changed about what you want? Nothing. Nothing
you said
changed.
That to me one time. You said that to me. You said you asked them, has your goals changed? And that's now I'm seeing the value in getting people to set goals in the beginning, because then when they start to get weak, you just start to remind them, you know, so yes.
Yep. Awesome. Perfect. So this is just a little tidbit here. We're going to close up shop for tonight, but think about that, asking that question when when you feel like you're defensive and somebody says something that's maybe they make a claim about a truth thing that you know is not real, like
Okay.
you know, something like all processed foods make people fat, right? And you know that's not true. You just ask the question, so what do you mean by that statement? What do you mean all processed foods make people fat? Or what do you mean this cost of this program is this is so expensive? And then the second question is, how did you come? So they tell you what they mean, and they can't just say the same words again. They actually have to explain what they mean. And then the next question is, how did you come to that conclusion?
Okay.
So how did you get from there to here? And there's a lot of people that haven't really thought about it. They're coming to a conclusion with something they haven't actually thought through. It's just sort of something they heard.
Exercise, I like the idea of putting it back on them.
Mm-hmm. And well, they made the claim.
And I'm getting information from them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
well, you understand how they tick. So one person said to me, I know when I get to my, when I lose 20 pounds, I'm going to hit a plateau. And I said, well, what do you mean by that? And they said, well, every time I've lost weight in the past, once I get to that 200 mark, I just hit a plateau. Oh, so how did you come to the conclusion that that's going to happen this time? Well, that's what's happened every time in the past. Okay, so what have you done? Well, I've pretty much only done exercise. Oh, okay. So then I'm going to basically, that's some great knowledge. And the third question is, have you considered that what we're going to do has to be different in order for you to get an outcome that's different?
That's exactly what Alex said to me when I was a client, when I came on to it as a client. He said, where did you want to get on your weight? And I said, like 164, because when I got down to 152, I wasn't able to maintain it. Mm-hmm. So I figured that's like a good, and he goes, well, why wouldn't you be able to do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, right.
What would it be maintaining at 164 versus 152?
If you have the skills, you have the skills. What you didn't do is you just didn't have the skills.
Yes.
Right?
Well, and I have the desire. I have I actually, he made me say, it's up to you. Mm-hmm. It's up to you. You make the decision on whether or not you want to do this or not. Mm-hmm. So if you, and it really got me thinking. It was like, well, why can't I do that?
Well, you've heard the saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Oh, because whatever you think is what you end up doing.
Yeah, if you think you'll never be able to solve something, you probably never will. But if you think, let's just say you want to be a health coach and help lots of people, and you don't quit, you will. Because if you think you can't, either I want to help 100 people, but I can't. So either you think there's not 100 people out there that want help. So let's talk through that for a second, because there's definitely at least 100 people out there that need help, that are around you. Or you think that you'll never develop the skills to be able to connect with those people in need. And so if you keep working on it, I bet you will.
Oh, I will with you guys. Thank you so much. And Kim, thank you. You guys are just hanging in there with me, and I appreciate it a lot.
We're all hanging in.
Coming back and figuring it'll sink in. And, you said there's going to be a whole lot of no's before there starts to be yeses. And you guys are teaching me so much. And this is really, like I said, I reevaluated my why, and I want to do this. I want to help people get healthy. Mm-hmm. I want to stay healthy. I want to keep myself in check. That was my driving force. But I love the Habits of Health. I think it's a great program. I think it's Dr. Anderson is a very smart man and nailed it, because other people are following suit.
Yeah, they are.
Weight Watchers and Nutrisystem and other people are completely following suit. And my sister works for a cardiology department at Kaiser in Portland. Mm-hmm. And a cardiologist said, sugar is now the new fat. It is the most dangerous thing to our health right now is sugar. Yep. And it's people are really starting to get that. And
Yeah, they are. Blood sugar is where the secret of health is really found in our blood sugars. It always has been, but our foods haven't affected it so much as they do today. And so our bodies haven't changed, but what we've eaten has changed. So none of the next steps for you, Deb, is to what if you were to do 10 role plays with Alex or with me or with somebody in your family where you walked through a scenario of somebody being interested and you just practice the junk out of it. I bet you will learn, or let Alex interview you. Pretend like you're interested and Alex will interview you and listen to it. But when I say practice, I really mean like doing it, going in front of the mirror and talking to yourself. So Deb, tell me a little bit about, I know you were talking about this and that. So tell me a little bit more about why you were interested. Just walk through these conversations, a lot of what the things Becca talked about. So if you sweat in battle, if you sweat in practice, you won't bleed in battle.
Okay.
Right? So do the work in practice and get good at it. So then when you're in front of somebody that has a potential opportunity for their life to be changed by what you're doing, you're able to talk through them and help them discover what we're really doing. More naturally, and not kind of stumble and start feeling self-conscious. And my brain is going a mile a minute.
One of the things I'd like to role play is introducing and getting somebody to agree to a 3-way call. Mm-hmm. The whole Zoom thing and being on video, I think some people are a little,
do it on Zoom.
Make it on a phone call, and
do it on a phone call.
And so, yeah.
What do you mean you can't do 3-way calls on a telephone?
Well, we can, but I mean, you guys, I know the benefit to having.
Sure. But so my question to you is, if they have an apprehension to that, then let's do the telephone. Okay. Actually, I would like to meet them face to face, but they probably live somewhere else, and it's probably it's challenging for time. So, but yeah, I can spend a few minutes going through that. And Kim, if you want to listen in, you're welcome to. If you want to conclude our evening, you're welcome to do that as well.
I was just going to say, well, when you need to practice that, there's no better time than the present, because there's a lot of other things that will get in the way.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm about to talk to somebody probably tomorrow. I got somebody to join the challenge.
What's her name?
That's like her name. Mm-hmm. She didn't make it today because I didn't know if the 6 o'clock, because I know that the Zoom was for Thursday. Yeah. So I want to tell her about this.
She can go to both. We're just going to keep doing our normal thing.
But I really like this one because it's our team.
Mm-hmm.
It's a team video. Zoom. But
so one of the simple,
in the 3-way call. I think her name is Amanda.
Amanda, okay.
She's on our team. And
so let's pretend like you're Amanda, and I'll just treat you as Debbie. Okay. So Debbie, did you know that? So I'm so excited that you joined our team, and I'm so excited for us to kind of do this health thing together. So I'm going to be kind of like your coach through this, or at least a teammate. But Debbie, did you know that I have a coach?
I think you mentioned that because you said that you were going to be your health coach, and you told me to put you as your health coach.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, I have a coach too. And one of the things that we do, because this is not an individual effort, because nobody gets healthy by themselves, is that I always introduce people to my coach, because they're a great resource for you. And there's lots of reasons why, but I just want you to know the person that's helped me achieve what I've achieved. So what do you think this week? Let's do a little 3-way phone call so I can introduce you to him. How's that sound?
Well, one of the things is she said to me is, and I might get this response is well, I know what to do.
I know what to do. Yeah. Be pretending like you're her and give me the answer.
Well, I know what to do. I just need to stop putting food in my mouth. That's
Okay, so yeah, I know. So what do you think it's going to take to actually go from knowing to doing?
Well, I'm hoping this challenge will help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think it will. All I'm saying is that I have had way better success with a group, and the challenge is going to provide that. And I just want to introduce you to my coach, because he is actually a client as well. He has a coach, so everybody has a coach. So I want to introduce you to him, because you're going to see him on the challenge, and he'll be one of your allies. So how about tomorrow? I don't know, take 5 or 10 minutes. I just want to introduce the two of you together, so you can get to know each other, and so we can all be, so we'll kind of know each other.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now this is me. Now, I'm not going to bring up the fact of the wellness evaluation or anything like that. We're just going to do a 3-way call. We're just going to say.
It depends on what you want to do. If she's reluctant or hesitant, then you just make it, look, why are you making it so, I'm basically saying, Deb, why are you making this so weird? I just want to introduce you to my coach. You think he's going to sell you a car or something? I don't know what I mean, I'm not saying that but I'm just like, what is all the reluctance to meeting my coach that helped me be successful? It's like, right. So you just want to introduce her to Alex. That's all that is. Now I'm going to be reaching out to everybody on the team and doing interviews with them and saying, I'm the team captain. I'm glad you're on my team. And out of those first conversations, if people want to lose a lot of weight and they want to know more about all the tools that are available for them, I'm going to then do a well-being interview, and I'll have you be involved in that.
Okay.
So that's some of the value of joining my team, is I do a lot of work for our team. I do a lot of interviews with people, because I'm trying to help people realize they have more. But as far as, even if she wasn't doing the challenge, just somebody's a client or somebody's a pre-client or a candidate or whatever, and you're trying to get them to connect to your coach, sometimes the first interview would be very simple and short. It's not really an interview. It's just an intro.
Okay.
But sometimes you actually are going to go through a well-being assessment. And so, hey, Deb, I know we talked a little bit about you and some of your health goals and things like that. The next step for us is to get a better idea of what you're looking at, because I might actually be able to provide you with more help than just talking. So what that looks like is we set up an interview. It's called a well-being assessment. And it would be myself and my coach will interview you, and we'll get to know all about your hopes and dreams and your goals. And then we'll put our brains together and see if we actually have some suggestions that might help you with your goals. How does next such and such sound? And so I
forgot about that part. I did, now that you're saying that again, because I think when you had that little thing in Vancouver, we went through that, and I just get so wrapped up in.
It's okay. Give yourself a big break.
Whether or not what they're thinking I'm trying to do. That's where it is. My brain goes, they know I'm trying to sell them something.
Are you? Well, so slow down and ask yourself, maybe you're trying to sell them something. I mean, take some time and really consider, maybe you are. Maybe a part of you is trying to get them to buy something. And so when you can give that up, they will probably give it up too. Right.
And that's what I'm trying to sell, is really my ultimate goal is to get them is to help people.
Right.
Is to help people.
Mm-hmm.
But I shouldn't say everybody, but it seems like people are on guard for trying to do.
They'll get that way. So the one common denominator is you. And I say that because it's sobering to know that you're the problem, but it should also be hopeful to know that you're the solution.
Yes. No, I can.
Isn't it cool?
Problem. I'll fully take responsibility for that.
If all of your clients are having issues with finances, not all of them have the same finances. And so if they are all having the same problem, it's something that you're emoting that could be nonverbal. Could just be something about your concept you have that you're communicating through body language that they're picking up on.
Well, it's not so much financial, but I think it's there. It's a sensitive subject to bring up that you feel like somebody needs to get healthy.
So there's the next question. If you feel like they need to get healthy, you will be communicating that to them rather than asking them, so tell me about what's going on. Tell me about your health. Tell me about, did you know that I lost all this weight? Oh my goodness, how did you do that? Well, I've done this and this, and I'm working with a coach, and it's been so amazing. Why? Why do you ask? Well, because I'm trying to do that. Oh, tell me more about that.
See, that's kind of where I really liked what Becca was saying, is making it this authentic conversation of where it comes smoothly. I told myself I'm watching that video like 10 times.
So watch it. I would say watch it 2 to 3 times, and then call Alex. And start with role play. Say, hey, Alex, I saw you do this. He'll love it. Hey, Alex, I saw you last week at the gym, and it looks like you've lost 50 pounds. Oh, my goodness. What are you doing? And he will jump right into role play with you. I'm serious. Just call me and do it. I dare you.
Okay.
Diane Thompson, she's the one.
And he'll role play with me as far as like being me. Like when somebody
you pretend like you saw me somewhere and I've lost all this weight, like somebody would do with you. Oh my goodness, Debbie, what are you doing? You look amazing. Right? That's what somebody would say to you. So you pretend to be that person and say that to me, say that to Alex, and get comfortable with this. So,
yes.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Well, nice to see you. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Kim.
Yep.
See you